Hello everybody, Mobius Y here with another video for Stellaris Console Edition. Today's video is going to be discussing one of the core mechanics of the game, and this video's topic will be about Starbases, which is one of the new mechanics introduced in version 2.2. Now before continuing with the video, if you'd like to see more Stellaris Console Edition content, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I normally upload at least once per week as per my stream schedule, and sometimes more. This newer mechanics video will be somewhat unscripted, unlike previous videos, but I still intend to cover the topic in great detail, so hopefully by the end of this video you will have learned something. I'd also like to note that this particular video will only briefly touch on what you need to do to construct a new starbase, and will be focusing more on what a starbase can do for you. So let's get started talking about starbases, beginning with how to build one, which is extremely simple. So a new starbase can only be constructed in a new star system that you have already surveyed. Now, once the particular system has been surveyed, a new starbase requires some alloys and influence in order to construct it. To do so, you select an available construction ship and select the star in question and select the option Build Starbase. As you can see, this will cost me 100 alloys and currently 37 influence. Usually at the start of the game it costs about 75 influence, but the costs of those do go down as the game progresses. You can also do this from the galaxy map by having a construction ship selected and moving your cursor near a star that you wish to add to your territory. Press either the A button or the X button to chain in order to build a starbase in that particular star system. Now do be aware that the further away from your territory the starbase is being constructed, the higher the cost of influence. It can be done, but the cost of influence does go up quite a bit as you build further away. For example, I'm only building one more hyperjump away from my neighboring territory, and the cost of building a new starbase goes up almost twice the amount. And if I build even further away, you can see that it's costing me almost 200 influence to build a starbase way over here. And if I go as far away as possible, it's costing me over 400 influence to build a starbase way up here. So you can still kind of have little blots of territory that are spread out and separated from your current empire's territory. But that's not really recommended. You can see that I've been a bad boy and done that up here in this little section to secure a couple strategic resources. I've got a loan system over here, which while the borders of my empire do extend outwards from where they are out to this loan system, this system is quite a few hyperjumps away from the nearest portion of my territory. So that is also a bit of a big no-no, and the same thing is the case with over here in this system. I got it just to secure some strategic resources, and now it's cut off from the rest of my empire because I have a neighboring empire that is taking up all this hyperlane real estate between this lone system and the rest of my empire. So those are basically big no-nos, because the most efficient way to expand your territory is with the three words, snake, don't blob. So when you start off with a brand new game, for example, you start off in this home system here, like I did, which is main playlist. Whilst it would be nice to branch out and grab all these systems right away that are right next to your home world and whatnot, the first thing that you want to look for is what are called choke points. Choke points are fairly easily identifiable by when hyperlanes kind of close in on this one system, and there's only one hyperlane connecting that star system to the next one on the way to or from your homeworld. For example, the star system here in Abaconia and the star system here in Mulgaron are essentially considered choke points, and even the next one over here in Brachium is another choke point because you have multiple stars that connect to just this one star. To continue back either deeper into my own territory or to move out from my territory, you have to pass through these three particular star systems. So all three of these could be considered choke points. These are the most important star systems that you want to grab as quickly as possible. And the same thing can be said in the other direction, although to be fair, it is one long continuous hyperlane that goes all the way to the Castor star system. So this is prime real estate here. By securing the choke point in Castor and by securing the choke point in Brachium and closing my borders, that gives me as much time as I need to explore the systems right next to my homeworld and expand to them as necessary, even getting the precursor homeworld of Voltamar whenever I need to. So choke points are key. Remember, snake, don't blob, is the key phrase there. So when it comes to starbases themselves, there are actually 5 tiers of starbase. You have your basic outpost, which is constructed when you build a brand new starbase in a surveyed star system. Then they can be upgraded further beyond that. First up is the starport, then the star hold, the star fortress, and finally the almighty citadel. So starting with the outpost, this is your very basic run-of-the-mill starbase. The only purpose it serves is to offer a means of expanding your territory. That's all it really does. If we open it up the screen here, you can see that we cannot construct any modules or buildings on this starbase. It only has 5,000 hull points and not a heck of a lot of shields and armor. And when we go to the details screen, it doesn't have much in the way of defenses either. It only has a single missile launcher with a single shield and armor slot for additional defenses. So that is a basic outpost. This is the kind of starbase that your construction ships will build when you wish to expand your territory. These are what cost a small amount of alloys, 100 alloys, and usually 75 or less influence, depending on how far away from your territory they are. The next type of starbase, or the next tier of starbase, is the starport. These are available to you at the very beginning of the game. As you can see, it has a couple additional platforms on the sides of it. So when you upgrade your outpost to a starport, it adds 2 module slots, it opens up 2 module slots that you can construct modules on them, and you get a building slot available too. It also increases the hull points up to 10,000, and you can see that the shields and armor are also increased by quite a significant amount. Now when we go to the details screen, you'll see that the starport has 2 additional defensive weapon slots. In this case, it's 2 more lasers, 2 more medium lasers, and we have 2 more armor and shield components each as well. And the auxiliary slot is now a shield capacitor. So the defenses do improve just by upgrading your starbases without having to build any modules or additional defense platforms and the like. But the defenses really don't go up by a heck of a lot with a starport. Now let's go to the next one, which is a star hold. So this is upgrading a starbase twice. You get a star hold. You can see that there's actually 4 platforms around it now, and when we select the starbase screen, we can construct 4 starbase modules and 2 starbase buildings. The hull points have doubled again up to 20,000, and we have a significant amount more armor and quite a bit more shields. When we go to the details screen, we can see that there's a couple more defenses added as well on top of those extra platforms. We now have a medium Gauss cannon and another medium gamma laser. So adding 2 more weapon slots, 1 for each of the platforms that are added on, as well as adding 2 more shield and armor components as well to further increase the defenses of this particular starbase. So that's a star hold. Next up, 3 upgrades. This gives you all 6 module slots available to construct whatever you like, and you get 3 of the 4 building slots. The amount of hull points has doubled again up to 40,000. This particular starbase has 0 shields because it's in a system with a pulsar. We'll get back to that more a little bit later, but it also has significantly more armor. And you can go to the details screen yet again, and you'll see that we have even more defenses because there are a total of 6 platforms around the main hub of the starbase. So upgrading it to a tier 3 star fortress adds 1 more medium Gauss cannon and 1 more medium laser. 1 more medium laser slot, and of course we have 2 more armor and 2 more shield components added as well. So just by upgrading the starbases, you can see that they get tougher, they get more hull points, they get more shields and armor because they have more shield and armor components. They're getting more defenses because they have more platforms in which to allow them. And you know, this is a moderate piece of defensive equipment for protecting your territory and stopping small roving bands of raiders. However, there's still 1 more tier of starbase, And we're going to take a look at it over here. This is the mighty Citadel, a fully upgraded starbase. This actually does a lot for adding more defenses to the starbase by upgrading it to a Citadel. So we still have all six module slots open, but we've now opened up the 4th building slot on the starbase. The amount of hull points has jumped up to 80,000, so once again doubled. We have a fair bit more shields and a lot more armor, and of course when we go to the details, you can see that we have way more shield and armor components. It's actually gone up by, I believe, about 6 each, and we have 6 additional weapon slots as well. So these first 2 lasers were for the 1st tier upgrade, and then we got a gun and a laser, then we got another gun and a laser, and now we've gotten 3 guns and 3 lasers. Or at least we should have, unless I'm counting wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we have. I'm sorry. I'm having difficulty counting tonight. The reason for this is that the little kind of cage structure on the top of the starbase actually has a little weapon on the end of it next to each of the 6 little platforms that used to be manning the starbase. So this does increase this particular starbase's defensive capabilities by quite a lot just by upgrading it to a Citadel. Now, upgrading to each tier of starbase does take a longer amount of time than the previous tier and will cost you more alloys. However, a lot of the time it is very much worth it, and emphasis on a lot of the time, depending on what you intend to use these starbases for. And you might be wondering, well, what can you use the starbases for? We'll cover that right now. So on top of the technically five tiers of starbases, as I said, Outpost, then upgrade to a Starport, Starhold, Star Fortress, and Citadel. There are also 4 types of starbases, depending on the modules you've constructed on it. So the first type that we're going to look at is an anchorage. I've only got this one upgraded to a Star Fortress because there's not much point in upgrading it further. Anchorages are where you've built anchorage modules, and these increase your naval capacity by +4. However, I highly recommend if you are in fact building an anchorage, you also construct a naval logistics office building in one of your building slots, because this further increases the amount of naval capacity from your anchorages by an additional +2. So a total of 6 additional naval capacity per anchorage module, allowing your starbases to add another 36 to your total naval capacity. And you can see that not only do we have all 6 of those platforms for having this starbase upgraded all the way up to a Star Fortress, but the modules are in fact between the platforms, and they have a different visual appearance depending on what you've constructed in those module slots. Now, anchorages aren't terribly useful compared to other Starbase types, unfortunately, partially because building a fortress world, which is a planet that has a lot of strongholds and whatnot, is far better for increasing your empire's overall naval capacity by creating a lot of soldier jobs. This could better be used as either a trade hub or a bastion or even a shipyard. So speaking of trade hub, that's the next type of starbase that we're going to go over. So trade hubs have trade hub modules constructed to increase the starbase's collection range of trade value. And I do believe I've gone over this in a previous trade value mechanics video. So they can make use of the off-world trading company building, since this building adds an additional 2 trade value for each trade hub at this particular starbase. So by building 6 trade hubs and extending the collection range of trade value from this starbase by 6 hyperlanes in every direction, you can also construct an off-world trading company building, which allows this starbase to produce an extra 2 trade value for each trade hub, for a total of 12. And you can actually see it on the star here. We're actually producing 13.2 because of this particular trade hub starbase. And you can even see, as I said, the modules, they look a little bit different, these little bits sticking out between the platforms. Once again, this is not fully upgraded to a Citadel, as I don't really feel it's entirely necessary unless you are going to be building a lot more defense platforms. Speaking of defense platforms, we're going to move on to your defensive starbases, bastions. So bastions are starbases with gun battery, missile battery, or hangar bay modules to bolster their defenses and local trade protection. Remember that each gun battery, missile battery, or hangar bay increases their trade protection by +5 or +10 for a hangar bay. So in this particular case, this starbase is producing an additional 30 trade protection, and each of those also increases the range of that trade protection from this starbase by +1 hyperlane. So this starbase is extending its 30 trade protection up to 6 hyperlane jumps away in all directions. Gun batteries also add 2 medium-sized weapons. Missile batteries add 2 missile weapons, and hangar bays add a strike craft, a bay of strike craft for defenses. And you can actually see the difference by going to the details screen. So normally we would only have an additional 4 lasers and 2 guns because we've upgraded this to a Star Fortress. However, because we have all these gun batteries, we have several additional plasma launchers. We have 6, and we also have 6 phased disruptors to bolster the defenses on this particular starbase. So this starbase, in and of itself, without any defense platforms, is actually a fairly tough nut to crack because of all these defenses we've added on with the gun batteries. So these are the kinds of starbases you want defending your Empire's territory at key hyperlane choke points, like I mentioned before. Taking a look over here in Avaconia, in Mulgaron, and or Brachium, these would be really, really key places to construct a bastion starbase, especially here on Brachium if it was on the fringes of my territory. I kind of did a bad thing and extended out to Ilex and Uldor, but only because I wanted the size 20 Gaia world over here in Uldor. But since all these systems, Brachium, Ilex, and Uldor, are on the fringes of my territory, I want to upgrade each of these starbases in these systems, turn them into bastions by giving them lots of gun batteries, or maybe even hangar bays to further increase their military rating. So bastions actually benefit the most from the combat-oriented buildings that are available in the building slots. Things like the communications jammer, which decreases the sublight speed of enemy ships, or the disruption field generator, which decreases their shield's hit points by 20%. And you've also got other things such as the defense grid supercomputer, which increases the maximum amount of defense platforms you can construct around this starbase. Also, with the Apocalypse DLC installed, not only can you construct defense platforms, but you also can construct an ion cannon defense platform. Bastions greatly benefit from these because these platforms have a single perdition beam weapon that can hit targets across the star system. Unfortunately, an ion cannon platform takes up 8 defense platform slots, so you can only build up to a maximum of 2. Now, probably your most important type of starbase is the Shipyard. And you can have multiple copies of Shipyards, but these are pretty self-explanatory. Shipyards are where you've built a shipyard module at this particular starbase. And in doing so, that permits the construction of your spaceships at this particular shipyard. Now, note that when you have multiple shipyard modules on a starbase, that particular starbase can construct multiple ships at one time, up to a maximum of 6, with all 6 modules being shipyards. Shipyards also benefit greatly from the Fleet Academy building, which grants 100 points of experience to any military ships that you construct at this particular starbase. So they start off with a small experience bonus, which they normally only get by being in battle or suppressing piracy over extended periods of time. Last but not least, with the Apocalypse DLC installed, you'll most likely want to upgrade all your shipyards to a Citadel in order to construct both the Titan assembly yards and the Colossus assembly yards. These particular buildings can only be constructed at a Citadel starbase, so it is a pretty good idea to upgrade your shipyards all the way up to a Citadel, and constructing these buildings will allow you to construct either a Titan or a Colossus at that starbase. So I mentioned defense platforms, and there actually is an additional layer of defenses that you can add to your starbases, even on the basic outposts. So each starbase, depending on its tier, can have a maximum number of defense platforms. In the Defenses tab, you can take a look at how many defense platforms you've constructed in the middle section. On the right-hand side would be the build queue, where you would see that you've queued up some defense platforms. And on the left are the types of defense platform designs that you have in the ship designer and can construct to bolster the defenses of this particular starbase. So at the top there you can see that because this is an outpost type of starbase, the maximum amount of defense platforms we can have is only 3. Every time you upgrade the starbase, the maximum amount of defense platforms is increased by an additional 3. So let's go ahead and take a look at the starport. You can see that we can construct 6 defense platforms here. At the Star Hold we can have 9. At the Star Fortress we can have 12. And at a Citadel we can have 15. Again, this can be further increased by constructing a defense grid supercomputer, which increases your maximum number of defense platforms by an additional 8. So at a Citadel, that gives you a maximum of 23 defense platforms. Remember that defense platforms can be constructed at any starbase, even your basic outposts. So if you want to absolutely litter your territory with defense platforms everywhere to slow down the advances of enemy fleets that are attacking you, if you have the alloy production to do so, by all means. Although, again, I do believe it is better to allocate all those resources towards bolstering the defenses of your major choke points and the Bastion starbases defending them. For example, you can see this Bastion only has about 6 defense platforms, but with some more alloys, I'd be more than willing to bolster that up with an additional 6, maybe even upgrade this to a Citadel to build another 3. So now, one final thing to note is that any starbase that is upgraded beyond a basic outpost is counted towards your starbase capacity, which is indicated near the top right of the screen. This is a soft limit on how many starbases you can have upgraded in your empire at any one time. It behaves similar to naval capacity in that going over your starbase capacity simply increases the upkeep costs of your starbases when you go over the cap. So in theory, despite the fact that I only have 3 more starbases available to my starbase capacity, I could go around and upgrade another 4 or 5 starbases, and the upkeep of all the starbases in my territory within my empire would actually go up as well because I'm going over my starbase capacity. Now, there are numerous ways to increase your starbase capacity. There are technologies, there are traditions, and there's even some ascension perks. Attention perks. There's even some ascension perks that can increase your starbase capacity, which I did for the sake of this video, but I do not recommend picking this particular ascension perk because it's really not a terribly good ascension perk choice compared to other options. But there is adopting the supremacy tradition, which increases your starbase capacity by 2, and there's numerous technologies that do so in the society tree. There's even repeatable technology, interstellar expansion, in the later portions of the game. You can get 5 copies of that to increase your starbase capacity. And of course, the starbase capacity does also naturally go up, the larger your empire is. The more systems you have in your empire's territory, the higher your starbase capacity will go as well, allowing you to upgrade more starbases without incurring additional penalties. So before we end the video, one final note is that any starbase that you upgrade from a basic outpost, it gets added to the outliner on the right-hand side of the screen for easy access, and there are little icons that show up when your starbase can either construct additional modules and buildings, or when it has defense platforms that can be upgraded because you've gotten better technologies and can have redesigned them with better weapons or better defenses. So they are there, and this list of starbases can get quite long, especially if you upgrade a lot of them. So do be aware of that, but it is there for easy access, and thankfully Shipyards are separated from the rest because as I said, I think they're the most important. So for easy access to your shipyards, they are in their own section in the outliner. So that should sum it up for this video. To recap, we've covered how to construct a new starbase to expand your territory, which I'm pretty sure I've gone over at least a half a dozen times by now. The different tiers or levels of the starbases. So when you first construct one, it's just an outpost, and then you have to upgrade it further in order to unlock these module and building slots. There's also the different kinds of starbases that we went over, as well as building up their defenses and increasing your starbase capacity. So I hope this video has been helpful for new and old players alike learning these new mechanics that came with the version 2.2 update for Stellaris Console Edition. If you'd enjoy seeing more videos such as this one, please subscribe to the channel, as there will be additional mechanics videos in the future. And don't forget to check out the links in the description below, such as my Twitch channel, where I stream Stellaris Console at least once a week, typically on Tuesdays, and I can interact with viewers whilst I am playing live. You'll also find a link to my Twitter feed, which is a great way to keep in touch with me. Give me a follow there, and I'll post important announcements. And lastly, you'll find a link to my own personal Discord for fans of my channel to freely join and interact with our small community. Thanks very much for watching. This is Mobius signing off from now, and I hope to see you again real soon.